What's good, guys? Fantasy Joe back here with my Week 9 wide receiver rankings, half point PPR. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you guys are new. A ton of our listeners have not subscribed, so please hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate it. Let's hop into these wide receiver rankings. Oh, before I do, if you want to leave a comment down below, I have a start sit question. You can leave them in the comment section down below, and I will respond to all comments, help you guys out. Any fantasy football questions you guys got, you can leave them down there, and please hit that like button. Okay, so number one, Tyreek Hill against Chicago. Tyreek has just been phenomenal this season, almost at 1,000 yards already. Play Chicago. I'm not afraid of this matchup for him. Think he's going to rock and roll. Especially that Chicago's offense has looked much improved in recent weeks. I think that gives him some chance that they can score some points with that Miami defense. That could potentially be a game. Number two, Stephon Diggs against the Jets. Again, not scared of that Jets secondary. I know Sauce Gardner's been really good this year, but Stephon Diggs is an absolute star. And if they keep that game anywhere close, I don't think they really will, but I still think Stephon Diggs is going to have a monster day. Three, Justin Jefferson against Washington. Great matchup for him. Really excited for that one. Revenge game for Kirk Cousins. And Justin Jefferson's an absolute stud, obviously. Number four, Cooper Kupp against Carolina. He'd be a little bit higher on this list. The only reason he's down here is we know he's playing with a bum ankle. I do think he'll play, though, and that's really what you want for a Cooper Kupp owner. I still think he's going to be, he could be the number one guy this week, but I just think with the injury and how good these guys are at the top, you got to tie break a little bit, and that ankle will do it for me to put him down a little bit. But he's still a must play in everyone's lineup. Five, A.J. Brown against Houston. He's done some dirty things to Houston in the past. I expect a big game from A.J. Brown. We saw the type of explosion he can have last week against the Steelers. You're starting A.J. Brown. Six, DeAndre Hopkins against Seattle. Seattle's had been good against fantasy wide receivers, but DeAndre Hopkins is a different beast, and since he's been back, he's been balling. You are playing him with full confidence this week. Seven, Davante Adams against Jacksonville. This is a good matchup for Davante. Obviously, he struggled in last week's game, but I think he'll get it going in this game. He was sick last week. I think that will help him, get a full week of practice in, hopefully this week, and dominate Jacksonville. Number 8, T. Higgins against Carolina. With Jamar Chase on the shelf, T. Higgins should get a lot of targets, and I think that this game could be closer than we think. If we see the Bengals struggle like they did against the Browns at all, Carolina obviously has won, I believe 2 in a row. Or no, they lost to Atlanta, but they took them to overtime. At least a close game. Better than they have been doing, obviously, but still nothing crazy. 9, Jalen Waddle against Chicago. Jalen Waddle is an absolute must-play every single week. He's a bona fide stud wide receiver 1. He's top 5 right now in scoring. Can explode in a given week. We saw what he did last week. 10, Amon-Ra St. Brown against Green Bay. I think he's going to get a lot of targets with the Hockenson trade. Really excited about him moving forward, even a tough matchup secondary-wise with Green Bay. 11, Keenan Allen against Atlanta. This is if he plays, obviously. I don't know if he's going to play. They said that his hamstring's gotten worse. Honestly, at this point, I think I'd lean to him not playing. If he does suit up, though, that's probably where I'd rank him. But another guy I would keep my eye on is Josh Palmer. If he doesn't play, you're absolutely playing Josh Palmer this week. 12, Mike Evans against the Rams. Mike Evans has struggled a little bit this year. Obviously, probably going to get a matchup with Jalen Ramsey for a good chunk of this game, but I still think they need him, and I think that he can have a big game just because his touchdown upside, no matter who is on him, is always so high. 13, Terry McLaurin. We've seen him be more targeted and much better with Taylor Heinicke at the helm as opposed to Carson Wentz. I think that trend continues. We saw him play really well with Heinicke last year as well. 14, Allen Lazard against Detroit. Great matchup for him, and he's had a really productive year. When you dive into the numbers, looking at games with 100 yards or a touchdown, he has a lot of those, and this is a plus matchup. I think he could go for 100 and a touchdown potentially in this one. 15, Chris Olave against Baltimore. Olave is an absolute stud. You play him every single week. The target volume that he's getting, obviously he didn't have a good game last week, but that's really because they didn't have to score very many points in that ball game. Kamara was scoring all those touchdowns, but you're still playing Chris Olave full confidence. 16, DJ Moore. He's come alive in recent weeks, and I am going to continue to play him. I do think the departure of Christian McCaffrey and the play of P.J. Walker has led to his increase in targets. I think that trend will continue. I don't think he'll be, a stud wide receiver for the for the entire season, but I think he is in a hot streak right now. I'm not afraid of the Cincinnati matchup. 17, Tyler Lockett against Arizona. The reason I have him here is because I think that they are going to Byron Murphy, their number one corner for the Cardinals, has been very good this year. Shut down DK the first time they play. I think he will be, the guy they want to go to. Speaking of, I think I forgot. 18, I've got Chris Godwin. I think he can benefit from the tough matchup for Mike Evans, and he's been getting a good amount of targets. Just hasn't punched one in the end zone or had a monster game yet. I think that will happen soon. 19, Juju Smith-Schuster. He's been excellent the last 2 weeks. Has a great matchup this week against Tennessee. Especially if Kadarius Toney doesn't suit up, I expect him to be full go. And even when Toney is there, I still think Juju should be pretty involved. And a guy you can play every week is wide receiver 2. 20, Devonta Smith against Houston. Only reason I have him this low is just I don't know how close this Houston game is going to be with them, and you don't know how often they'll be throwing in the second half. 21, Gabe Davis for the plays against the Jets this week. Davis is really a boom or bust guy. We know this. I'm just, not betting. I don't think the Jets are going to put up very many points, so I don't know how many points the Bills will really need to put up. And then, is Gabe Davis going to get his chance at that monster game? I just feel like it's a little lower in this, which could be a lower scoring contest, but I still have him rated as my wide receiver 21. I like to play him. 22, DK Metcalf against Arizona. Like I said, he's got a tough matchup with Byron Murphy, but I am willing to play him. He's a stud, and one play could do it for him. A wide receiver screen or a deep ball. He's just that good. 23, Christian Kirk plays at Vegas. Great matchup for him, and I think he'll have a bounce-back game and be pretty solid. 24, Joshua Palmer against Atlanta. This guy could be a great play if Keenan Allen doesn't play. Would be really excited to play him in this matchup. Absolute must play in daily lineups probably if he isn't out there. 25. Sorry about that audio. 25. Tyler Boyd against Carolina. I know Boyd didn't have the best game last week, but we saw him involved. We saw how good he is. He's a good wide receiver. An opportunity is knocking, and I think he will answer. 26. Rondale Moore against Seattle. He's playing the slot now. Seattle, I think that's where you can kind of best chance to get after them, in my opinion, with the corners that they have outside playing really well this year. I think he could have another big game. 27, Jacoby Myers, heavily targeted every week, even though it's an Indy team, but he plays a lot from the slot. 28, Adam Thielen against Washington. Thielen's just involved every week, but a good amount now. And I don't think that will shift, especially with Hawkinson's first week on the team. 29, Devin Duvernay with Rashad Bateman likely out, maybe even Mark Andrews out. I think there'll be a lot of designed touches for him and a good amount of targets as well against New Orleans. 30, Curtis Samuel against Minnesota. Samuel has been getting more carries with Taylor Heineke in, and I think that will continue. And I think he's posted back-to-back 50-yard games receiving wise. I think he could do that again and maybe punch in a touchdown, and then you add on top of that the rushing work. 31, Romeo Doubs. The matchup is just really good, and they need him, honestly, in Green Bay. I think that their other wide receiver, Watson, probably misses this week, so that means an even bigger role for Doubs. So I am rolling him out there in lineups. If you guys have made it to this point in the video, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section down below. I'll respond as always. This has been Fantasy Joe. Thank you guys for watching.